All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Dizzle Dynasty podcast. Back in the mix today. I got Brian with me. Brian, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Very excited. We have a very special guest on, as everybody can see. A very talented content creator I've been wanting to set something up with for quite a while now, really. If there's anybody I think we can reasonably call a basketball sicko, it is unequivocally this guy for sure. He is the creator of the Bench Mob blog, a contributor to SB Nation and Utility Sports, and most recently, the creator of Two-Way Talents, Finn Kuehl. Finn, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for the intro. Being a basketball sicko is something that I do not take lightly. Um, yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great to have you on. Been a huge fan of all of your work for a pretty long time now, I guess I could say. And just loved everything you've been putting out with Two-Way Talents. So, yeah, absolutely happy to have you here, man. So,
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, just to kind of back up a little bit for anyone who's not super familiar with you, the content that you've created otherwise besides Two-Way Talents, tell us your story with content creation, like what you do, your involvement with journalism, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I first started writing about basketball when I was 14. I was a freshman in high school. I would always like talk my dad's ear off about the NBA, whatever, and he's like, "Hey, maybe you should try, writing your thoughts." And so I got into it, and I was pretty consistent from the jump,
Mhm.
because I've always kind of enjoyed writing, and so I've just like stuck with it since then. Over time, picked up some opportunities. I wrote for SB Nation first back in 2023 about the
Mhm.
Spurs for pounding the rock. This
Hmm.
past year, I joined Brew Hoop, talking about the Bucks, which is my favorite team. I'm from Wisconsin, yeah. I mean, I love to write. I've been getting into podcasting in the past year or so, just hopping on other people's shows. Brew Hoop has one, and then like Bench My Blog, which is my blog, is still central to my coverage. And then obviously recently built Two-Way Talent. I just do it for the love of the game. Love to write, love to talk ball. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the way you do it, man. You keep building it up. And I know for us too, that's always been the thing. Back when we started Dizzle Dynasty in 2023, same thing. It's been, a little bit removed from school. I've always been a very passionate writer, journalist myself. So yeah, respect from a fellow journalist as well. We love everything that you're doing. Very cool journey how you've gotten here. SB Nation, obviously, huge gets for you, good stuff. Yeah, no, we love it overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I can also relate to the fact that you're writing in college and high school because I did similar stuff. So,
Yeah, love it. Love it.
All
all right.
right.
So we can get into the meat and bones of this podcast. So we first wanted to let you kind of explain your website, Two-Way Talents, and what was the reason and story behind coming up with that idea?
Yeah, so I mean, dating back to when I first started getting into basketball, I've just kind of had like a love and appreciation for like the bench warmers. I mean, I don't really know why. It's just like something I've gravitated towards those guys, just like respecting their journey, being interested in learning more about them. When I first started my blog, Bench My Blog, it wasn't long before I started an annual tradition at this point, which is the Bench My Blog All Stars / Bench My Player of the Day. I don't know. You guys have probably seen that on my Twitter. Basically,
Absolutely.
like every day during the regular season, I post about a like bench warmer. I mean, it's pretty like subjective who I pick, but like some sort of like bench warmer, bench player, not like the 6 man of the year caliber guys who like had a good game. I keep track of all those, and then I do like an all star team, a bench mob player of the year, all that. And yeah, I mean, this summer I just kind of had an idea, which was originally just gonna kind of be like a Google Sheet little like Twitter thing I did, just like covering the top two-way contract guys. Last year I did an article like ranking every two-way player in the league. So it was just gonna be something casual, but then it kind of evolved in collaboration with my dad actually into the website that it is now. And I'm super excited about it. I want to inform people about all the players that they haven't heard of, but like maybe they should. I want to make more people sickos. It's fun to be
Mhm.
a sicko. Yeah, that's kind of how the website was born. Oh, and then last No, 2023, I started a series for my blog that was called Two-Way Talents. The
Hmm.
first article was about Craig Porter Jr. on the Cavs. I think I've written like close to 10 now, just like about two-way contract players who are like playing really well, deserve some more recognition. And so that's kind of how I got the name and also like started to get that two-way talents thing in the back of my head.
Yeah, no, as a huge Cavs fan, that was one of the first things I had caught on to. I love Craig Porter Jr. You've also covered Sammy Buckets. You covered a handful of my all my Cavs guys,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can always appreciate. I think more than anything, what's really stood out, I think, just as a theme throughout all of your work is, just exactly what's on your about page for two way talents. You say here every player matters. Like I don't think there's anything else you can really say. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Every single player matters in the league, even if it is, the 15th man on a roster or somebody who's just, scraping by trying to get an exhibit 10. All these guys in their journey matters, and the coverage really matters. And I just think that's really cool that that has been a through line really of just all of your work. So I wanted to say that as well. I think that just stands out to me a lot.
Great. And one of my next questions that I was really interested in getting down to, because like you, I also am a basketball sicko and I like studying the draft. And so I wanted to know, what is the system for which you rank your prospects based on like the 3-star, 4-star, 5-star?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like not super straightforward, a little like subjective, but like the main things I'm taking into account are like NBA contributions, like stuff that they've already done in the league. Like, have they played minutes, shown they can play? Potential, obviously. Like a guy like Rocco Zakarski on the Timberwolves. I think I have
Mhm.
him at a 4-star. I mean, he's 19, he hasn't stepped on the court yet, but like just in terms of upside, that's a pretty high level swing for a two-way contract. And then also like a big thing is just ability to translate to an NBA role that
Mhm.
kind of goes hand in hand with like NBA contributions that have already happened. But I mean, we'll get into this soon. But I think a big part of like what makes a successful two-way contract player is a guy who can like be a role player. They're generally not going to become like stars, save like Austin Reeves, Fred Van Vliet. So it's
Right.
like, are these guys going to be able to step on the court and like, do they have like a clear way, like a clear NBA skill that they can contribute with?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to ask you as well. Really, just one of the things I wanted to kind of break down with all of us on here is just really what makes up the anatomy of a great two-way guy or a breakout guy who's able to rise into a legitimate NBA contributor night to night. Like how we kind of identify these difference makers, and I think you hit exactly on it. It's finding those translatable skills. I think one of the things that Brian and I both love to look at for in the context of drafting too is really just role malleability. I mean, there's so many guys who can do a lot in college, but I think it's just about seeing those things and what they can do immediately that translates over. So, for example, one of the guys that we'll probably talk about a little later, one of my favorites, Jameer Watkins, he's somebody that I'm very much interested in becoming a good NBA player because I think he has a lot of very malleable skills. And I think that's just one of the things that I always try to look at for guys like that is just, like you said, translation, malleability, real skills they can bring on a consistent basis. And also just, I think it's something about earning the trust. It needs to be said too. I think there's a lot of trust that just comes into it. And, as we'll talk about shortly here too, there are certain teams that lend that trust in different manners. Memphis being one that I always think of, in the context of two-way talents because they often reward these guys. So a lot goes into it for sure. I always feel. Brian, are there certain things that you think kind of go into that anatomy that you kind of break into?
I think Finn hit them pretty well. I think they have to be role players. They have to show that they're willing to defend. They have to be willing to show that they're willing to do the dirty work
Mhm.
and not demand too much. Like even someone like Dorian Finney-Smith, he's just a 3-and-D guy, and that's it. There wasn't much else to it, and it took him a while to actually get into the NBA. And even someone like Jordan Yang, who was bouncing around in the G League, I mean, jazz player, right? And so I remember with him, one of the things that stood out with him was that he was a really good locker room guy. He's super funny, and he kept things really light, and he was able to shoot and at least not kill you on defense. Because of this, he was able to get a role with the Jazz, and he was able to parlay that into a contract with the Sixers and then later the Cavs. And so I think just those little things, those real NBA skills do really matter. And also getting into the next question that I wanted to get into is, what do you value most when evaluating two-way players and applying that to an NBA context?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like it's just like the ability to translate to an NBA role. I mean, all the stuff that we've just been saying, it's like, okay, are you a 3-and-D guy? Are you just like a defender or a rim protector if you're a center? Are you like a floor general? Like what is your role? Why should we put you on the court? Because like if you're a two-way guy and you're kind of raw, still figuring out like your role, your niche, then you might be stuck behind a lot of standard contract, like first round pick guys already who like need that developmental attention. So you got to have a reason to like for a coach to put you on the court. Um, and I think that part of that goes down to being able to also scale down. So like guys who are like stars in college, like a Austin Reeves, for example, like if you can go from a big or like Max Strus is another one. Like if you can go from a
Mm.
big role and then kind of like you're good at basketball, but then like scale down, focus on like your best skills, but then you also have those like side traits that make you like well-rounded, not a liability. That matters too. And that takes a level of like unselfishness that I feel like you need to have, or like just like understanding of where you're at that you need to have to succeed as a two-way guy, because like you're already like down the chute, like you're in a tough position if you're on a two-way. So like yeah, you might have been the man in college, but you got to be able to like understand your strengths, what can get you on the court, and focus on those things.
That's such a great point. I immediately, when you're kind of talking about that, one of the guys that came to my mind who, recently got converted to a standard contract is Jalen Clark. Like somebody who was a very standout defender, very solid player. Came to a tough situation, he had torn his Achilles. He was in a tough situation with Chris Finch, who is, very much a stickler with his rotation, runs very tight, 8-man rotations on any given night. It's hard to kind of earn his trust to break into the rotation. And, what I saw with Jalen Clark was, not only the utilization of his strengths with his defense, but also just seeing that he was able to hit these open shots. He's able to hit threes. He's able to, provide this 3-and-D benefit. He's able to play hard on the court. Off the court, he seems like a very good like culture guy, strong name in the locker room, even for his age. Like it just really comes down to, I think, just like you said, just maximizing the strengths and being able to, when called upon, have these things that you can do when you're asked to do it, especially for Chris Finch. I mean, somebody who, like I said, is like much tougher to get into. That says a lot, it oftentimes, you can learn a lot just from something like that with those examples. But yeah, no, you hit it right on the nail, I would say. I guess to, kind of speaking to Chris Finch, I want to kind of pivot the other way, which is with teams who have these systems that lend a lot of trust to different two-way players and, where opportunities are more available. So like the teams like Memphis, who, have a rich history of converting a lot of their guys, like, Vince Williams, Cam Spencer, plenty of guys just in the last couple of years alone. Or a team like OKC, who has seen a lot of success with guys like Lou Dort, the Lakers with like Austin Reeves, for example. In your opinion, what teams, besides the ones that I've named, or, kind of speaking to those as well, like what teams would you say have the best system for two-way players to succeed? And I guess if you had to kind of put a couple of reasons to it, like what do you think would be the reason that they found so much success with this sort of like farm system, so to speak?
Yeah, so Memphis is definitely one that was on the top of my brain. The guys you mentioned, there's also Jay Huff, Scottie Pippen
Mm,
Jr., Gigi Jackson. So like there's them. Another one that came to mind right away is the Miami Heat. You're looking at like Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, I believe, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. And then I had the Warriors down as well. Their
mm.
like list of guys isn't like quite as long, but still like Ty Jerome, Quentin Post, Pat Spencer last year made an impact. And I think the thing that allows those teams to like find so much success with their two-way is giving that opportunity, giving that trust, and like they have coaches who focus on the development like up and down their roster. and they're willing to run deeper rotations too. Like
Mhm.
Steve Kerr plays a lot of guys, and like I mean, it's not like all these teams are running like 12-man rotations, but like Eric Spoelstra, he's a coach who will like gladly dig into his bench. Like he doesn't waste roster spots. He will play these two-way guys, and like honestly, I think a lot more teams could find a lot more success with two-way guys if they just like played them. And
Mhm.
like that doesn't have to be on like any given night, but like when there's injuries, like you got those guys there. It's the regular season. You got to play 82 games. It's a grind. So give some of your guys a break. Play the two-way guys, and I think we'd find more dudes succeed because like there are some really good players on there who like haven't got the opportunity yet. So I think it's just all about these teams like being willing to invest in the two-way as an actual route for development and not just kind of like the guys are just there. Like it's just like maybe injury insurance. It's like you got to
Right.
value those roster spots and give those guys a chance.
Yeah, I think that's just so important. Is just to value the roster spots. I mean, we're in a time where it seems like more than ever we're very due for expansion. Like, there's just not enough guys who should have these contracts, or guys who should just be, not falling out of the NBA. Really, I think there's just a lot more teams, just like you said, that need to invest more trust in that regard, and really just being able to find a lot of players. I mean, there's so many guys who and we'll kind of get to this in a short segment coming up, just about guys like we can't really quit and just believe that they can still have a chance. Like, there's so many guys I feel like that with, like, that just don't get those opportunities because, I mean, it's a tough league. There's very few roster spots, and with how much talent there's been in the last decade or so, it's hard for everybody to fit. So I love that. I think that's a perfect answer. Now, Brian, for you, is there anything that you would say otherwise like helps for like team success with these players, or anything that you think or any other teams really that we didn't mention?
Obviously, Thunder, they've done a good job with their two ways. And off the top of my head, I want to say that Cleveland has been a little bit interesting recently. Not just Craig Porter
Mhm.
Jr., but Naquan Tomlin as well. I think there's
Yes,
actually some real interest there.
I feel like it's kind of interesting with a couple front offices, because I definitely feel like that too as a Cavs fan. Like, I think it's kind of shifted a little bit. I always was a little bit critical in the past of how certain two-way contracts were used, and looking at some of those guys that I thought were pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, Cavs have been really good with that. Like Craig Porter Jr. has been very good for that. I'm very much a Naquan Tomlin fan. So I think a lot of this too definitely comes down to sort of a shift in front office philosophy. I mean, it can change so quickly with some of these. I'm eager to see this year, especially with kind of the shuffling of some front offices, how that may change for certain teams. Like Denver's one I'll be looking at for that, because I think they have a few interesting guys. I'm a little curious about New Orleans with that. So yeah, a couple interesting teams kind of on my mind for that shift, and seeing if maybe something changes there.
Exactly.
So
Now we can head a bit more into another segment. We're going to talk about some of our favorite two-way players. And I know
mhm.
Zach has one person in particular he is dying to talk about. So I will let him take the floor.
Oh, who do you think I who do you think I want to talk about? I'm
I think
curious.
it's your Jalen Hood-Schifino.
Oh, I knew
Ooh.
you'd call me on this one. Yeah. So, Finn, just for a little background, I very early, one of my very first articles with Dizzle Dynasty was doing some 2023 draft content. And truth be told, I was very high on Jalen Hood-Schifino. Like, I definitely thought he was like, I think there was a couple mocks where I may have had him picked like 13th overall to like Toronto or one of those teams. I was very interested in him. And I think he kind of falls into one of my buckets of players I just can't fully give up on. Like, I have to think there's still some talent there, and I don't know that I feel like I've fully seen enough there to be there. But he's definitely somebody I've always had some interest in, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and I know a lot of people are gonna definitely rag on me for that, but I think it definitely stands to my point that enough players just aren't given the time and really just the incubation in order to succeed. I just That's one of the things that I find a little interesting about the Lakers, is like the success with someone like Austin Reeves versus like, how little minutes Jalen Hood-Schifino received after just 1 year. And the very rare instance of which he did not have his third year option picked up. It's just one of those things I just find a little interesting with certain players.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, the Lakers just like did not play the guy, and I think like for that reason, you do have to believe like, yeah, I mean, there's got to still be some sort of talent in there because like we haven't seen him play enough to have a verdict. Like I'm a big
Right.
believer that like you can't really judge a player or give up on them until they're out on that NBA floor for like some form of real minutes, just to
Right.
like see what it actually looks like. And with Philadelphia this past season, like when Hood Schifino actually did get to play, he had some moments. He had a couple games,
Mhm.
like he's hitting shots. The 3-point shot looked like pretty solid. I don't think the percentage was the best. And so like when you give those guys the opportunity, then you can really judge them. And like, yeah, then like, it maybe might not work out, but like I can't blame you for not wanting to quit a guy like that. Or like another dude could be like Johnny Davis. I mean, like the
Yeah.
Wizards kind of like killed his development, I think, because they like put him on the back burner. I mean, they messed with his jump shot too, which is like a different conversation. But like right now, he's just kind of floating around. I don't even know where he is. He'll probably just be in like the G League next year. But like, I would give that guy another contract and just like see what he looks like. He was a pretty consensus lottery pick, really good player in college. No Wisconsin bias. It's like with those guys who like really didn't get like the opportunity yet to play, but like have this pedigree of like being like a talented prospect. Like those are the type of guys that like you shouldn't quit. I think successful organizations give those guys chances.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, immediately when you mentioned him as well, I mean, one of the guys I thought of, one of your Bucks guys, Ryan Rollins. Like, I was very worried, like, pretty quickly that he would get given up on, after the Warriors stint, after everything that happened with the Wizards. I'm very happy to see his success. A guy who has, successfully graduated that, and who I think is, I think probably has like kind of a mini breakout this year. I'm very interested to kind of see how he does.
Yeah, Rollins rocks. He's a good player.
Yeah, yeah, very interested to see him for sure.
Yeah. And now getting into one of my personal favorites. So for those that were following me on Twitter, you guys knew that I was a big fan of Brooks Barnheiser and
Mm.
the
Absolutely.
Oklahoma City Thunder. And so I just want to kind of pick your thoughts on Brooks Barnheiser and see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think he was a slightly surprising draft pick. Not that like he wouldn't like wasn't good enough to be in the second round, but he just like wasn't mocked there by most outlets. But like in college, I mean, he's like one of those players that we talked about where like he was the man at Northwestern, especially in like that last season or two, like without Boo Buie. Like he's doing a lot of like on the ball work, like scoring from all three levels, playmaking, defending. Like he does a lot. And so like I think he could be a guy who like scales down into a role in OKC's system that is like willing to give opportunity to two-way guys. And he can really like lean into the defense, the cutting, like whatever it is that would like make him a successful role player. I do think that there's a lot of ways he could contribute, and like that's a guy who could be successful. I was impressed with him in summer league too.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what I saw in Northwestern as well. Just that even though he was on the ball, he was willing to defend, do the dirty work, cut. And we saw a lot even with Boo Buie when he was at Northwestern. We saw him play off the ball. And given that he's like 6'6" and just absolutely massive, like probably 230, 240, something like that, like two-way players like that need to have those traits in order to succeed because they have to deal with the NBA physicality. And Brooks Barnheiser can absolutely do that.
Yeah, for sure. And since we just mentioned him, Boo Buie is a guy who I don't want to quit, and he hasn't got an NBA opportunity yet. But like, sometimes it's like with those guys who are so good in college, it can be like a little bit of a struggle to see like how are they not like any good in the NBA? And like Boo Buie hasn't played in the NBA yet, but like in terms of his IQ, shot making, like willingness to compete, I mean, he really is like everything you want in like NBA backup point guard outside of maybe like the physicality. So like I'd love to see him get an opportunity at some point. That's like one of my like sicko polls. Like, let's just see this guy on a court. I feel like he could do something.
It's always those guys, man. Like I have a handful of those guys. Like Zeke Mayo, this past draft
Mm.
cycle for me
Mm.
was one of my guys for sure. Like someone I thought and still deserves an opportunity. Like we barely saw him, this summer league. And I think he could be good, man. Like I was a huge fan when he was at South Dakota State. Obviously not the best year, just given the circumstances with Kansas this past year. But somebody who I still think has something to show. And in a real world, where roster spots are, more available for guys like this and more opportunities are given, like should have a cup of coffee somewhere, I think it just happens a lot. And, one of the guys I'm kind of banking on who can kind of overcome some of that, where he hasn't gotten, quite as many opportunities as someone like PJ Hall, especially now that he's come into Memphis. Like, really like the way he looked this summer. He's somebody that I had a little bit high during the 2024 draft cycle. He was someone who I think was in kind of like my like early 40s range for like a lot of the cycle, just somebody who I liked quite a bit from Clemson. And I think just looking at kind of that pipeline from Memphis, like we've talked about a couple times on here, like I would be a little surprised if he didn't really get as much run this year. Like, I think I'm not going to say he's Jay Huff, but like there is a pipeline for being like the next coming of Jay Huff. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that, like, just always stick out to me. And I think now that I'm kind of thinking about it too, there's a lot of these types of guys who are guys that I just can't quit, like guys who I had like higher draft pedigree on than most of consensus. So that would be like, PJ Hall. That would be, like I mentioned with Hood Schifino. Jason Preston is another guy who I just haven't been able to quit, who, I'm just praying, just leave the Los Angeles Clippers, go somewhere else who will absolutely give you an opportunity. Like, I think that guy's good, man.
Yeah.
It's always a fun one. I mean, he was with the Salt Lake City Stars for a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one we disagree on. I was a pretty big Jason Preston fan, and I am out on him. But I just want to see your thoughts, Ben.
Hurt my heart, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zach, we are on like the same page with PJ Hall. I have him down as like a guy who is one of my favorites for like a two-way breakout potential conversion this year. The Jay Huff comparison is definitely one that I've drawn, and like there will be front court minutes available in Memphis, I believe, especially with Zach Edey's injury to start the year. And so kind of segueing off that, I did have it's like an unofficial starting five of dudes who I think could have like breakout conversions.
Okay.
So I got first Quentin Jackson from the Pacers, Elijah Harkless from the Jazz. I got Tristan Vukcevic from the Wizards.
Yes.
And Jackson Rowe from the Warriors. So like those are five guys I got. If you want to talk about any of them, let's do it.
Yeah, talk to me about Jackson Rowe. I would love to hear about him. I mean, truth be told, I mean, I certainly know some about him, but I can't say I know like a ton of all the guys. Like all the guys that you mentioned, he's probably the one I would say I know, I guess, the least about. So yeah, I would love to hear about him.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a bit of like a wild card pick here, but like first of all, like the foundation is that the Warriors play guys, and like right now their roster is pretty thin and uncertain. So like there could be like an avenue for minutes there. And I think Rowe is a guy who like he's got a clear NBA frame. I mean, I think he's like somewhere in the ballpark of 6'6", 6'7", and like strong. I think he can cut, he can shoot. Like he can just like do a lot of the role player things. And like last year, the Warriors got some good run out of Guy Santos, who is like, I mean, he's a nice player. And I just think like they might have opportunity for him because they are a team that like dedicates minutes to two-way guys. And I could just see him like being like a 10, 15-minute like NBA role player guy. I just think he has some of those role player traits.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, no, I could definitely see that for sure. That's a really good pull. I like that one, man.
Thank you.
And then the other one I want to talk about is Elijah Harkless, because here's the thing. The amount of Elijah Harkless traction I've seen with the Jazz is very interesting. I watched him at Summer League quite a bit. Honestly, I did not really think he was an NBA guy. I got the idea of it, but I'm really interested to see what you have to say about him, if you have more information on him, because, I mean, truth be told, I wasn't following the Salt Lake City Stars that much, but I would notice Elijah Harkless getting featured quite a bit and would always just be like, what is it? Like, are they envisioning like a Royce O'Neal here, or what's the idea, or what do you think that they're seeing in him?
Right. So I mean, yeah, in the G League with the Stars, like you mentioned, like the dude was crazy productive. And so like I think with that as a foundation, that means something as like for gaining an NBA opportunity. And then I think his like main NBA skill is that he can defend and be scrappy. And that's the main thing that we kind of saw from him like with the big league Jazz this past season. But then like watching him in summer league, going back and like watching some more of his like G League highlights, getting a better feel for his game. I think he's like interesting as a combo guard guy. He can shoot for the most part. He's pretty like quick and can like he pressures the rim. He's got good size. He really competes. I just like overall like his game as like a competitor, like a potential secondary ball handler, especially if the shot can start falling. I'm pretty high on him right now. I just wrote an article about him back in like July, right around summer league time. I don't know. There's just something about him.
That's certainly an interesting viewpoint. I'll definitely keep that in consideration. And given that lack of surefire talent on the Jazz, especially with that scrappiness, there is a real shot he could play. I'm not ruling that out. Having those Royce O'Neal type of players, I think, could be really useful, especially for like a rebuilding team.
Yeah, like the Jazz right now do not have a lot of defense going on or like scrappiness. Like they've got some guys who can score. They got some buckets, but like Harkless, like as a guy out there who's like unselfish, won't take shots away from like a Keontae George or Bryce Sensabaugh, and just like being willing to compete. Like I think there's a spot for him there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that one.
Now,
I'm glad you mentioned. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. Go right ahead.
I'll go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm glad you mentioned Tristan Vukovic too, because he's somebody else I really like a lot. And to be honest with you, man, like I'm pretty surprised that he hasn't gotten a full NBA contract yet. Like I think this offseason he got, I guess his third two-way contract technically. I'm a little surprised just that he hasn't gotten first of all a standard contract, but second of all also just like I guess more of like a full run. Like I feel like and I can understand why, into some respect, because he needs to work on defense for sure. I think that's kind of been a hallmark that he's needed to work on for a couple years now. And I think will get better this year if given more opportunity. But I mean, just more than anything, man, I mean, he screams just very talented NBA player to me. And it just really surprises me that he hasn't gotten more opportunities. And I think, like you said, kind of creating a starting five, he would certainly be on mine, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think like this could be the year for him. The Wizards, like, I mean, I don't want to say they have a loaded roster, but like they do have a lot of guys who like need developmental minutes and like probably will get some.
Yeah.
But I do think like Vucevic next to like Alex Sarr in the front court could be pretty interesting. Like they can kind of complement each other, both space the floor a little bit too. Like Sarr can take pressure off Tristan defensively. And I think the Wizards do like him, Vucevic, and they do like believe in him. They just like don't quite have that standard roster spot open for him right now. Like they just want to give it to other
Sure.
guys, but like they keep bringing him back, and like there's always a period of time where he's playing. But like I think this could be the year, and if it's
Yeah.
not the year, then like I mean I would take him on another team. Like I would give him another chance because he's interesting and he's still young. But I think this could be the year where he gets some minutes.
I think so too. And kind of coming to the contract thing like we had mentioned, I'm just a little curious too, and asking this just to both of you guys. Do you think there's like an element of team politics that kind of comes into like the two-way contract itself? Like, do you think there's certain, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess certain like stipulations or something that kind of comes into that. And, I guess particularly kind of speaking to teams that have seen success with this, do you think there's like a certain, I guess, different view among different teams for like this roster spot? I'm just kind of curious about that because that's something I've thought about with Tristan and just in regards to not receiving that like standard deal yet.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's clear that some teams like value them more and use them
Hmm.
more of like a pipeline and an asset than other teams. Like, obviously, every team like fills their spots for the most part, but like some teams just like clearly like emphasize getting guys on them and like giving them opportunity more than other teams. And like
Hmm.
whether that's like rewarding guys from their G League programs or like being proactive and snatching up guys from across the league. Like that's what the Grizzlies are doing. They're like
Right.
proactive and like, oh, Omax Prosper just got waived. Like that's a first round pick who like there's still something there. Like we haven't really seen him play yet. Like let's just go get that guy. Like they're like proactive and it's like clearly a priority.
Right.
And I think that's how more front offices should be.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah, 100%. And I think team politics do play a bit of a role, especially in some of the teams that don't value two-way contracts that much. Shout out Troy Weaver and his signing of Buddy Boeheim and Hunter Dickinson. But I think the ones that are smart, I think they're looking for very specific qualities. And it's like if you show yourself out in practice and you do well enough, yeah, you'll get converted. And so I think that element does actually play a bit of a role in certain spots.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's why, I mean, speaking so much to Memphis, I feel like they've definitely been the biggest team we've talked about. I mean, of all the different teams, I think like I could probably make like I said, like if I was making a starting five, so Tristan would definitely be there. I think you could probably put like all three of Memphis's two-way guys on there. So that would be Javon Small, Jemai Mashak, and PJ Hall. I mean, they're all guys that just feel like, even just beyond like the history of Memphis and their two-way spots, like, I mean, those are all guys who have like the translatable skills. I mean, Javon Small, I thought was just really solid during summer league, and like in the advanced stats, I mean, just looked off the charts. I mean, compared to a lot of the rookies. And like clearly these advanced stats are what really matter to Memphis, along with just, like we talked about, just getting ahead of things, going for their guys that they like, just an interesting team overall. So I just wanted to make that quick little comment about that.
Yeah, and quick correction: PJ Hall's on the two-way, not Jemai Mashak. So,
Did Jemai get converted?
I know you love PJ Hall.
No, it's Omax Prospers on the two-way with PJ Hall and Javon
Okay.
Small, and Mashak actually is just going to start the year with the G League team. Like they're not giving him any sort of contract, which is interesting because they like just drafted him. You don't usually see that happen, but that appears to be the scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apologies. Yeah, I had thought, when I'd seen that about Omax, I was like, oh well, I guess somebody's probably getting converted. But that is very interesting. I don't know that we hear that super often. So that's interesting.
I mean, for what it's worth, he was at University of Tennessee, so it could just be like a culture and like homegrown guy type of deal. So
He's a
yeah,
dog,
I
dude.
think either way, he's an unbelievable locker room dude. So
Unbelievable. Yeah.
yeah. So now we will head into a little surprise segment that Zach and Finn have no idea what is going to happen right now.
I'm a little
Oh
scared.
boy.
I'm going to unknowingly put them against each other in a quiz. So we're going to be guessing
Oh boy.
players that were converted off two-way contracts last season. And the goal is the first one to get to six
Okay.
wins. And
First one to get to six?
Yeah, the first one to get to six wins. And to decide who goes first, I want to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
How many players were converted off two-way contracts last season?
There were actually a lot. I'm going to say like 15.
I'll go a little lower than Finn just to see who splits the difference. I'll say 12.
Very interesting. There were 26. So
26? That's a
Finn
lot. Oh my
is going to go first here. And you can go ahead. I have all the list here of every player that was converted off a two-way contract last season. So, Finn, when you're ready, go ahead.
All right. So first I'm going to go with Musa Diabate.
Musa Diabate is on this list. That's a good poll. All right. Zach, what have you got?
Justin Edwards.
Justin Edwards is on this list. All
right. Next, Benchmark Blog Player of the Year, Jay Huff.
Jay Huff is on this list. 2-1 to Finn right now.
Oh boy, I'm feeling the pressure now for sure. Does Ryan Rollins count for this technically?
Is that your guess?
That is my guess.
Ryan Rollins was converted off a two-way contract last season. Good job.
Thank you.
2-2.
All right, I'm going to stay in the spirit of Benchmark Blog Player Awards. Diabate was a runner-up for Player of the Year, as was Tyrese Martin of the Nets, who earned a conversion.
Tyrese Martin is on this list. That's actually a really good poll. I wouldn't have gotten that. All right, Zach.
Oh my gosh. I'm like kind of sweating this one now. This is did Christian Coloco get converted or no? I guess I'll guess him, but I don't know if that's right.
Christian Coloco did not get converted to two-way
man.
contract last season. It's definitely an interesting guess, though. All right, Finn, back to you.
I'm gonna take Jared Butler.
Jared Butler was on a two-way contract. That was converted. Good job. So 4-2.
Okay, next guess. I guess I'll say, how about Mamu?
Sandro Mamukelishvili, is that your guess?
Let's see, who's on the. Yes, I think that'll be my guess.
Sandro Mamukelishvili is not on this list.
Oh man,
He was, he
I
was
believe
signed last
Mamu
year.
was just on the standard all year.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess he must have been. Yeah, dang it.
I
Okay,
think Mamu was on a two-way with the Bucks. I think initially with the Spurs, but I think got converted like years ago. Not last
I
season.
think yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, Finn, you're kind of washing me here, pal.
I mean, bro, this is my lane. Like,
I kind of
Yeah.
hope so. That's the thing. Right.
Next I'm gonna go with Pat Spencer from the Warriors. I believe he was converted before the playoffs.
He was converted right before the playoffs. That is correct.
Let's go with trying to remember. I think he may have gotten because I'm trying to remember the timeline of when he got this contract. Justin Champagnie, did he get converted?
Justin
He did.
Champagnie did get converted
Okay.
off a two-way contract last season.
Okay. I'm trying to remember the timelines here. I'm I'm kind of scared now with some of these.
All right.
All right,
you
so
have 4 to win.
before I hit the dagger, which Champagnie brother do we think is better?
Julian.
I think Julian. I've always been a fan of both, though. He especially coming from us as Dynasty guys, I was very interested in both the boys coming in, and I mean so far they've definitely hit in terms of the fantasy side. So I'll say Julian is probably my preferred.
Yeah, I think I'd agree, but Justin was pretty impressive last year, honestly.
Yeah, he's good.
But yeah, so I mean, lastly, I'll take what is slightly a layup, but I just want the win. Quentin Post from the Warriors.
Quentin Post.
That's my next
was
guess.
on the two-way contract last season. That is correct. I remember that one quite a bit because there was some rumors going around being like, yeah, the Warriors promised him to convert him at some point later in the year, and I mean that's clearly worked out. Some other names that were on this list: Scottie Pippen Jr.
That was good. Yeah, those Quentin Post and Scotty were going to be my next ones.
Scotty was
Oh,
like
yeah.
preseason, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that
that
was
He
was
was
like
preseason.
for like the first
Okay,
couple
okay.
games. Yeah, we have
Yeah.
Ariel Huckporty, Kashad Johnson,
yeah.
AJ Mitchell,
Oh, that's an easy one. I should have gotten that one.
Jamison Battle, BJ Boston, Jalen Clark,
Right.
Jordan
Yep.
Miller, Jonathan Williams, Orlando Robinson, Dominic Barlow, Isaac Jones, Jordan Goodwin, Brandon Williams, AJ Lawson, Braxton Key, and JD Davison.
You said Isaac Jones.
Yes.
When did he get converted? I honestly don't remember that one for some reason.
Let me look that one up. It was like towards the end of the year.
Okay. Dang, I don't know how I forgot
March
about that one.
22nd, 2025. He signed a 2-year,
Okay.
$2 million contract with $152 million guaranteed, or $152,000 guaranteed. So, like a non-guaranteed deal. But
I was gonna say one of them did Pelle Larson just get a full contract, like a standard whenever he
he was signed after the draft, got like a 4-year deal.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that was gonna be one of my guesses, but I was like, I think that one's wrong for that reason. Dang, that was a lot. Well, good game, Finn. You definitely washed me on that one.
Yeah, good game. No, that was fun. I love that segment. And there's a lot of fun players on that list. Brandon Williams is a guy who rocks. I should have guessed him. That guy can hoop.
Yeah.
And he had that great game in the play-in.
I figured maybe you guys come under pressure a little bit, especially since we talked about Scottie Pippen and Jalen Clark in this episode already.
I know. We literally talked about Jalen Clark. I was like, I don't know why. My mind kept going blank every time. I'm not good under pressure, folks. We'll clean it up next time.
I mean, one of my favorite two-way contracts is Kashad Johnson, And so that
Yeah.
was
Yes.
that was someone I was like really interested in the draft, especially with Miami in particular. And so he was someone that I actually acquired a lot of fantasy stock in, even though
Yeah.
I know that he's not going to be a good fantasy player. I think he's going to be an NBA player, like a Jay Crowder, Royce O'Neal type. So either way,
One other question about one of those guys. You mentioned AJ Mitchell. How much did AJ Mitchell sign for on his new deal? Was it I know it was above the minimum for sure. It was like a decent amount.
yeah, it was a 3-year, $8.7 million contract with 4.5 million guaranteed.
Ugh, what a
It
steal.
What a
is
steal.
absolute bargain contract, which is
Wow.
absurd. It
That's
was
absurd.
like I think that contract alone is going to put Nikola Topic on the block. Honestly, 'cause I think Mitchell's like a starting caliber player. Like
Yeah.
could be as soon as this upcoming season, and he's on a $3 million a year contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, what are we doing? And,
That's
like he absolutely
crazy.
dominated summer league. It wasn't even like he
Mhm.
played minutes in the finals. He shouldn't have, but he played minutes in the finals. And he's a 2-way contract that were at the start of the year. And he was a second round pick.
He's good.
It's crazy, man. The Thunder people, they know what they're doing.
Brandon Carlson is next.
He is next.
Okay, yeah, that's another interesting one too because I actually wasn't a big fan of him pre-draft, but then I was like, oh, this guy's actually not too bad. Once I saw him with the Thunder, like he actually moved better than I thought he was going to move. At least, but compared to NBA athletes, the only issue is he's like 25. So
Finn, is he one of your 5 stars? I seem to remember that.
He sure is. He sure is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
I mean, I think like not only does he have that like clear NBA skill, which is his shooting, and he's 7 foot tall, which is a nice combo. Like when he played minutes for the Thunder last year, he has some pretty big games. I mean, like end of the season, like only means so much, but like I think he had something that was close to like 30 and 15, and like he's a great in like the last game of the season, and he's a great shot blocker, shooter. Like I just think he's a guy who can play, and he did get some rotation minutes like here and there throughout the actual season, like in like January and stuff, I believe. So yeah,
and that was when
I think
like
he's a, I think he's a guy.
like Chet and Hardenstein were hurt, so I think that was part of the
Right.
reason. Still, like he looked like he at least could hold his own. So
Mhm.
all right, well, thank you, Finn, for coming on the Dizzle Dynasty podcast. Tell the people where they can find your work.
Yeah, so twowaytalents.com is the new site that sparked this discussion. Benchmobblog.com is where you can find my coverage of the whole NBA that's been going on for 4 years. And then also brewhoop.com is where you can find my Bucks coverage.
Great. Well, you can find me at Weirdos1221 with the RNI swapped, and you can find Zach at DizzleDynasty.com, DizzleDynasty.substack.com, and DizzleDynasty.com. Well, thank you so much, Finn, and hope to chat again real soon. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you for having me on. This was a blast. I always
Absolutely,
love
man.
talking about sicko stuff. And there's only so many people I can talk about it with. So, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.